And we are here for our beautiful Sunday collective with Renooji and me, Divya, as we wait for everyone to log in and to join us on this amazing journey. What is basic affection is going to be our session 1 for today's Sunday collective.
Yeah.
And just before we begin, I also want to sort of take this moment to sort of reflect on this word basic. That over time, and of course, if we go to the dictionary, there would be, or the general understanding of the word basic meaning something that is at a very ground level understanding, or it's a basic structure, basic concept, a basic definition. And then as time has evolved, and of course, every culture, every language has words that the youth take on, and so there is this trend or this understanding in a certain set of a generation or of colloquial slang or of certain language, of the English language, where basic, like if someone says that, oh my God, you're so basic, means that you're really not exciting, or you're very plain or dumb, or you just don't get things.
And we are so intelligent, and
Yes.
and we are so knowledgeable, and we are so great.
Exactly. So basic becomes something that nobody wants to be, nobody wants to be associated with. And so I think that's a great place to begin, that how can we understand this word basic? Because for me, in my mind, basic is very close to the word base, which means like a platform, an adhar, a stable support for concepts, for life, to begin. For evolution. So Ma, please tell us more about this.
I think that basic for me is the structure of the manifestation of a soul. That I'm sure that when two people have sex, they're doing it for the pleasure of being intimate with each other, and not so much thinking about how this is going to result in procreation, and it's going to create a child, and then that child is going to be dependent and we are going to love it. But the basic pattern is that there is a consequence built into the human anatomy, that we are going to procreate, and there is a soul that is going to be embedded in the womb of the mother, and is going to be swimming and gurgling and gestating and patterning itself with its thoughts and its consequences and its love that the mother and father together are generating, or whatever the mother is feeling. She is allowing that consciousness to permeate to the child. And then the child comes into this world. And I think that people just say, oh, we love our child, right?
Yes.
We love our world. We love each other. And, then 5 years down the road, it's the same love, people who are separating. And the soul, the child is suffering because it's not equipped to deal with the hate, the depression, the boredom, the loneliness, the anger that this couple is generating, right?
Yes.
So we have to understand that what is the base plate, or like you said, the adhar of, creating consequences for that soul, that pattern, that parent, that grandparent, that caregiver, that, foster parent, whoever is giving that emotional support. We have to understand one very basic thing, that if somebody wants to learn a lot about cars, right? So they will go to a school or to a workshop, and they will tamper and they will learn what are the different parts. How does the magic of this beautiful mechanical vehicle actually drive itself, and where do you put the petrol, and how does it come to the engine, and what is the ignition, and everything is learned through expertise and through interaction.
Yes.
It's the same way that if you want to be a very, very efficient cook, then you are going to go into the kitchen, you're going to learn about all the vegetables, the meats, the sources, the grains, and you're going to construct your, abilities, and then you're going to enhance flavors and conceptualize new, recipes of whatever you're doing. But there is no school where you can go to learn about love. It's about, people think that, everybody's an emotional instinct and we're just going to, spend our time, it's going to be naturally, it's going to evolve. But that's not true. Whatever are the impressions that you're giving to your child for the first 5 years of his life or her life, they are conceptualizing, they're responding. And I find a lot of parents, make a lot of gurgling baby sounds, and they do a lot of baby talk with their children, and they will teach them all the animal sounds, and they will teach them, the birds twittering, and, the cow is mooing, and they spend a lot of time teaching them to listen to words that are, external, animalistic, and even parents quarreling and shouting, and they're thinking that they're doing a great act of spending time reading stories, but they're not really listening to that child. They're not listening to what is being said in the environment. They're not teaching that child how to respond with love to their own thoughts. And if you ask parents today, or if I ask any of you to go in front of the mirror and look at yourself, I'm not sure if you're going to respond with love to yourself. Are you going to say, oh, you look really beautiful today, I love you, you're so special, and I can't live without you? Those are expressions of deep self-preservation and attachment and love that you can generate. But I know that a lot of people, because I've done this meditation at the Healing Center many times, I've given people a mirror and I've said, look into it and see what you see. And the people have written huge essays on everything that's wrong with them that they can discover in the mirror. And, the soul is not really responding because they have not been taught the structure of self-love. And if you don't have self-love, how are you going to give it to somebody else? If you don't, live with, caring for your environment and loving your parents and loving and respecting the, social fabric of society, you are not going to be able to respond to people substantially with comfort and with really showing that basic nature of your soul self, that you are in love with the world that you live in, and that there is no depression, there's no loneliness and boredom, there's no anger, there's no anxiety, there's no deep depression where you're just eliminating everyone. And in this pandemic, that nature of living with the self has been very, very highlighted. And people have had to spend lots and lots and lots of hours with themselves. Some people have just lived on their own, in their apartments, cooked for themselves, cleaned, and, been their best companions. And many of them report deep, deep psychosis of boredom, loneliness, depression, anxiety, helplessness, and an inability to really understand that they are with the most important person that they love, and that's themselves. But they've not been taught how to do self-love, how to reflect, how to listen to their thoughts, how to understand their needs and their wants, and how to fulfill them without really going to the mall and shopping and buying and coveting something that's really not necessary for your happiness. So I think that would be my basic starting point of exploring this emotion of deep basic love that we can generate within our hearts, and how we have to share it with others was the thought in my mind when we looked upon this topic.
So as you're speaking, the word that is resonating in my mind is fundamental.
Yeah.
So the fundamentals are where we have to go to create this base for a structure of experience. So when we're talking about love, and because today we're going to be building towards how we receive and cultivate this basic affection, which affection in my dictionary at least, Ma, please correct me if I'm wrong, is the expansion of love. Like it's the real world.
The real world experience.
Experience of love is through those affectionate caresses, touches, acts, thoughts, words, and
even glances.
Glances, yes. And so as we go back to this word fundamental, and so what is that fundamental structure of love that we can cultivate if for some reason, because now we're all grown adults and maybe some of us have had damaged structures or damaged bases of love, either from our family, from ourselves, from society, from parents, from siblings. It could be anything and everything. So how do we go and heal those bases? How do we go back to basics of the love? And how do we create a new fundamentals of understanding self-love?
Yeah, the basic thing that we have to do a delete button on in the computer, files in our brain is that people keep telling you, oh, you'll fall in love and then, everything will happen. And
or you'll have a child and this, sorry, my hand just hit the thing. I'm very intrigued and passionate about this topic. So, or like a lot of my friends or people that we know, like will say that, oh, let's have a child because a child will, bond us together or
and help us fall in love again.
Yes.
Yeah. And the reality is that nobody really falls in love. You have to learn that skill of giving to another and inviting that, that soul that you find attractive, because it's, we confuse the word lust and love very interspaced, that we are feeling some lust or some attraction and we constitute it and affirm that it is love. And then we spend the rest of our life when the lust is over thinking, what did I find so exciting in this other partner?
Or did I really love them?
Love the person, and oh, I don't love you anymore. It's so simple, but the reality is that once you have truly understood what is love, what is empathy, what is joy, what is happiness, what is bliss, what is compassion, and what is the reward of cherishing another human being and doing it diligently one day at a time. And, once you love somebody, it's not like a stop and start button that, I'm going to now not love this. It's, of course, a lot of people will say that, I love eating sweet things and it gives me so much pleasure. And then after a few years, they do become diabetic. And then their love has to be shortened, they can't indulge that experience anymore. So basically, you have to understand that the first and most important fundamental aspect of yourself is how to fall in love with yourself. Because if you love yourself,
there's
then you
nothing
love the
stopping
world.
you.
Then you love the world that you live in. And if you love the world that you live in, then there's no sorrow, there's no loneliness, there's no boredom, no anxiety, no depression, no helplessness, and no blame. Because in our whole life, we keep going around saying, oh, I love that person, I gave so much of myself, and they didn't respond, they didn't reciprocate. The reality is that people have to, they don't have to reciprocate. You just have to love and you have to move on and you have to keep loving and loving and loving, because that empathy of love is coming from deep within yourself and you are sharing that with others. And it doesn't really matter if they, reciprocate. I don't think we have to doubt love when we generate it personally, because we can love the tree, we can love the food, we can love the plants, we can love other human beings. We can even love dogs and cats and, pets. So many people have pets and they say, oh, our pets really love us. So what are they showing? What is the affection that they're bringing to your table? It's that they are without expectation. They are giving an affection or a response to your command. So, human beings have brains that take them in different directions, and you may be, giving somebody love, but they don't know the language of love, and they don't know that this is love because they didn't go to the school to learn what is love. So they may reject you. So it's not your fault if you get rejected. It's the other person didn't truly understand your response.
And sometimes when we reject, we are not truly understanding
the love that other
that
people
they're
are
giving us.
True.
Because I think that's what Kavita Mitta, who's joining in, echoes, and she's thinking with us on this beautiful topic. And she's saying that often when someone praises us, her first reaction is to dismiss it. While she appreciates it, of course, but there's something in her world or in her head that just prompts her to
from her
parents that she's not deserving, maybe, of that
because what
positive
parents
response.
do, and I see this like a concentric circle of responsibility as a parent. Parents think that they have to criticize their children and rectify and teach them human behavior and social behavior. They may be doing something completely different, but they are constantly debilitating their children into, psychosis, I think, and psychiatric disorders, because I'm finding that so much prevalent today, that they're forcing them to see the inequipped or ill-equipped aspects of themselves, and they're not showing them that they're beautiful souls and they have these talents and they have these abilities and they have a beautiful smile and that they are cherished as very valuable members of the family. And people will just keep doing things like doing negative reinforcement, which is very, very sad to see, because it means that the parents have also not gone to school to learn how to love.
So everyone is missing the basic fundamental manual and teachings of love. So then that leads me to ask that how do we regenerate these connections that have been amputated by, say, our parents or our first experiences? It could be a teacher in the school, it could even be a stranger, it could be an uncle and aunt who've just made a flippant comment when you're young and maybe you're trying to play the piano and someone says that oh, they're not as good as XYZ, or like you're not as good as a sibling, and then that can sort of destabilize your foundation
and your ability to love and generate happiness.
So where is the balance between being appreciative and supportive of someone's journey and equipping them with the tools and the basic manual, you can say, of loving the self, versus overly I don't know how to put it in words, but like overly falsely appreciating someone, so that then they become delusional. Like I feel that there's like a
very
fine line.
Balance.
Yes. So what is that balance? And could you give us some examples or take us through what would be like the key aspects of recognizing the lovable parts of ourselves?
Yeah. So basically, I'm reminded of a story which I'm going to share. So there was one hermit or Guruji who was sitting by the banks of the river and he was meditating. And every day this one boy would come and say, Guruji, please initiate me. So one day Guruji finally disturbed his meditation, opened his eyes and said, yes, what can I do for you? He said, please initiate me. So he said, why? So he said, I want to love God as much as you love God. So then the Guruji quickly got up, caught that child by his neck and took him to the river and dunked his head under the water and kept him, and he was struggling and just in the nick of time. Guruji let him go and brought him out of the river, and that was spluttering and gasping for breath. And then Guruji asked him, what was it that you wanted most underwater? So he said, air. So he said that go back home and meditate. When you want to so badly want to experience love of God as much as you experience that air prana, so you come back to me.
Oh, wow.
So that is
Yes.
the experience of cherishing something that you don't have spontaneously, and then to meditate on what it is that you can do to cultivate that love of the divine, cultivate that love for your body, cultivate the love for another. And I feel that, I've seen this with a lot of dogs and cat lovers, that they will look very dreamily into the eyes of the dog and the cat and eye to eye contact and all. But when you tell them to look into the eyes of another human being, they are very uncomfortable. Because the eyes are the windows of the soul, and they'll see some deep love, that compassion, that empathy, and that actually makes people very uncomfortable.
Yeah, because it's literally medically, your eyes are basically part of your brain popping out of your skull and it's
showing you.
and showing you and taking in through that very key sense. All our senses are basically access gateways to our brain that is then decoding the sensory world, at least.
Yeah, the sensory world is that from the throat to the crown, we have our portals of perception are all activated by our crown chakra, our third eye chakra, and our throat chakra. So we have our ears, we have our mouth, we have a nose, and we have our eyes, all in this.
And the skin to touch.
Yes, and the skin. Touch, gentle touch.
Yeah, it's the head that's carrying all the senses, everything.
All the senses, yeah.
So then how do we not become a headless major? How do we stay balanced?
Yeah, because, as parents, remember that when a baby is born, the head is very unstable. And you have to, the muscles are not strong, and the doctors will tell you, be very careful, hold the head and the baby very carefully, because you have to nurture, and then by the time the baby is about 6-7 months old, then they're able to sit and hold their head quite comfortably. So that process of evolution, of recognition, of concepts of, remember that the child is lying in the bed and is seeing the ceiling, right?
Or the sky, just everything above, yes.
Above. And that's a different view of the world. And they sit up, then it's like a 3-dimensional world, and then there are things that are moving. Of course, parents will put some mobiles and some wind chimes and some, talking toys and things to make the child become aware. But I still remember that one of my favorite gifts to Divya was a little cushion in which when she would put her head, it would say, I love you. Right? You
yes,
remember
I
that?
remember it.
So, parents will not really nurture their children. Of course, they say, okay, so jao, go to sleep. It's bedtime, turn off the light. It's all about ordering, conjecturing, negotiating, and imposing orders.
These are all the destructive, destabilizing elements for our love, for ourselves. Oh, wow.
And that makes everybody very, very dismembered, right?
Yes.
Because they're seeing something, they're hearing something, they're tasting something, they're smelling something, and they're touching. And, sometimes the touch can also be very rough. And the soul is really understanding and experiencing. It's like going to school, the parents are really teaching them all the things that they have learned or not learned. And they first are very welcoming of the soul, and then the whole life they're telling the soul how many things are wrong with them. But they don't realize that they made the person who the person is. He didn't or she didn't come from having learned behavior, right? So parents need to watch very carefully what they're installing, what is the seed program of consciousness that they are awakening, watering. That is a very, very soft and gentle plant of love that grows in the hridayam or the heart. And I think parents do a great job of crushing and dismembering it. And then sometimes people get lucky and they come and get initiated to spiritual, structure and evolution, and they learn how they're very special souls who are on a journey to find themselves and to find their connection with the divine, and the divine unconditionally loves them and is always there for them. And then they learn how to hold the finger of the guru and the divine and walk. And then those are people who are very centered, very purposeful, very loving, and very contained in confidence and creativity, and they live their lives with great joy and happiness.
So how would one become this very joyful, happy, stable person and heal those gasping moments of lack of air or lack of prana or lack of love?
If you're connected to the healing modality,
yes,
then it becomes very easy. You
Definitely.
just place your hands and place the symbols or place the light or meditate on the light of love and distribute it not only to your physical body but also share it with others and your home and your things that you use. Remember, even the water that you drink is a life force that is impregnating you with new consciousness. So that's why holy waters are so important, because they have great instruments of divine consciousness that will impregnate you with love. And the air you breathe. I remember once I was in Jerusalem and there was this student of mine, and he was saying, I have a great idea that, I'm going to market the holy air. So he was going to get these aerosol cans and fill them with the air of Jerusalem and sell it all over the world. So, it may sound that it is quite funny, but there are special, energies, or even in the air prana, in the water prana, in the earth prana, that are generating a great fortune of love and consciousness. And the sun shines and space is created, and the vastness of the mind is as vast as the sky, and in that you can grow whatever you are. We are all capable of growing self-love, but we are not taught how to do it. We are not instructed, we are not comforted, or we are not, parents will not share with us that, you have to hug yourself, or you have to love somebody, and you have to. It's always about contractual, you do this and then I'll give you a reward, I'll give you a toffee, I'll give you a chocolate. It's all about bartership, and so the soul doesn't really learn how to negotiate life patterns, just like the river. Remember that the river is flowing and is in harmony with all the stones, because it just separates and caresses and comforts and hugs the stones, and it moves on. It doesn't see those stones as implements of torture and misfortune and misguided attention and discomfort, right?
It's like a gentle, consistent, steady caress that then makes a penetrating mark that is forever. So it's like the rivers that flow through mountains and cut their way through ravines. It's a slow process. So is that what you're saying? That love is that consistent, gentle caress that then becomes this very strong, permanent mark on the world around us. I think that's a beautiful
the river
visual.
Stones. What about the river stones? Do they have jagged edges?
No, they are so smooth.
They also respond with that softness and that caress back to the waters.
That is truly beautiful. I am just so taken with that visual, that it is that gentle, consistent flow of love that is going to transform the jagged edges into smooth edges. And so we begin actually by meditating on the love, just like the student at the riverbank who connected to the love of the divine and the master.
Master, please connect me. Show me how to love God. So he showed him.
So we have to go beyond our need even for air
Yeah.
to really understand the power of love.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
then,
yes, Ma.
Yeah.
No, I'm just looking at some of the comments and they're so wonderful and loving. So I thought I'd share with you. So we have Henna Kalro, who says, the greatest lover of your life is your heart, which we all share.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful.
But what we put in our heart is very important.
Yes. So I think from the philosophical, we have to move into the experiential.
Sure.
And if we are putting all the complaints or the negotiations or the contracts in our heart, then that is what's going to flow outside and then maybe create more jagged edges. So first smooth the flow of our heart, or the stones in our heart, smooth them out.
And let the nectar of divine grace flow through and caress and reduce the size of those rocks and comfort and have them coexist. It doesn't really matter. We don't have to blame others. We have to wake up to the realization that we have the capability and the capacity for self-love, and we have to do it in the now. We cannot postpone it for some other day. So a very good instrument of really knowing whether your heart is full of love is to spend 5 minutes looking into the mirror.
Into your own
into your eyes and seeing what are the recordings, what are the impressions, what is coming up, what are the memories. You'll be surprised at how many childhood memories will come up that were distasteful. And maybe some few memories of great joy may also come up.
And so when the distasteful comes up, we just affirm and heal that we are loving in that moment so that we can smooth those, and we're forgiving. So just the act of just thinking that is so powerful.
It's powerful because there's lots of magical light coming out of your eyes because they're illuminating the light of your soul self, and your soul is touching your body, your spirit, your mind, and it's generating great fortune for you.
And Nilima says something very beautiful that I want to share with you, Ma, that she says that she remembers that her daughter Prajita always sees you, Ma, as a symbol of love.
Oh,
so that is so sweet. And yes, so coming back, I think for me, you have answered this question of how do we, sort of regenerate those amputated parts or those jagged scars. And you're saying that just invite them into your heart and you have the power to heal them. So that really takes away the responsibility and the blame that we put on other people. And that we are responsible for our own love and our own happiness. But this is not just a philosophical thing, Ma, that you're saying. You're saying that this is an act that we have to participate in.
Like going to cooking school.
Yes, or going into your kitchen to even just boil water, like you have to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And so we have Joanne who's joining us, and she says, I think in connection to the beautiful story that you told about the heart that you had given me that says, I love you. And it was in Ma's voice. Ma had recorded it and given it. So she says that we can and do see the love you've engendered and developed and nurtured in Divvya, Ma, Renooji. So beautiful to see and experience and learn from. Love you, Joanne.
Love you all.
So actually, when we say, I love you, like I just said, love you, Joanne, what are we really saying in the energy? Like, what do you see happening? Is that a transference of affection and care?
Concentric circles of pink and green balls of light that are in this river of gold, and they are flowing from you across time and space and reaching that person in like a split second. And it's entering their back heart chakra, and the back heart chakra is opening and is pulsating with I love you, you love me, together we love the whole world.
As one family.
As one happy family. Vasudev Kutumbakam.
So, Ma, could you lead us in a short meditation of experiencing this heart-to-heart love connection, please?
So everyone can gently close their eyes.
And of course, those who are listening in and walking can either find a place to sit or you can listen.
Just listen
and
with your eyes open and keep walking.
Yes.
So visualize a beautiful thread of light, white light, at the top of your head, just like a pin and needle, going all the way down your third eye chakra, your throat, through your heart, your solar plexus, your navel, the Hara chakra, the Kundalini chakra, and at the root chakra, see this filament of white light getting a hue of red and make a knot in your root chakra, and then it's upward movement, 3 knots of yellow, blue, and red. At the Kundalini center, a knot of orange at the Hara, and a beautiful white knot at the navel center, and a big, beautiful sunshine yellow knot at the solar plexus, and 12 knots in your heart chakra. 6 are pink and 6 are green. So the needle and thread is creating these French knots, and you're taking your time, and the light is swirling and twirling and creating like little rosebuds or French knots of pink and green, and then you're moving to form a single blue knot at your throat, and then 16 purple knots at your third eye chakra. So keep your awareness at the center of your forehead and see this thread that was white, that was red, that was blue, yellow, red, orange, white, yellow, pink and green, blue is now turned purple, and it's making these beautiful knots, 16 of them at your third eye chakra, and then exiting out, and become aware that there are thousands of such threads that are cascading out of your crown chakra like filaments or rivers of light in many hues, many colors, and just like hair on your head, they're gently flowing over your body, your shoulders, your arms, your hands, gently flowing over your back, your chest, your thighs, your knees, your calves, your ankles, your feet soles, and now becoming a shaft of light and going into Mother Earth. And you are in the center of this embrace of comfort, and then become aware of a beautiful ball of golden light at the top of your head. See this ball of light becoming a little bigger and bigger. Maybe it starts as a tennis ball, becomes a beach ball, then becomes a bigger ball of golden light. And just see that it's opening up on the top, and gentle honey-colored liquid is bubbling and flowing out of this ball of light, and gently along the sides of the golden ball of light, coming down, gently caressing your crown chakra, just like honey, gently moving this golden light all over your body. See those filaments of different colored lights also getting covered with this golden light, moving from your shoulders, your arms, your upper torso to your lower torso, your hands dripping with this golden light, your thighs, your knees, your calves, your ankles, your feet soles, all dipped, engulfed and caressed by this golden light. And become aware that this energy is of pure divine love, almost like soma or nectar, the gift of love, unconditional, endless, supreme love that is caressing your body, taking away all the memories whatever you experienced in this life or in your past lives, all those episodes being healed in this moment, and you are from skin to bone and from bone to skin filled with this golden light, and every pore and cell of your body resonating, I love myself. So let's repeat it together 7 times. I love myself. 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 So see an explosion of golden light, and see rivers and rivers and rivers of this soma, this nectar, going to impregnate all the souls around you, and just send out a message. I love you all.
I love you all.
I love you all.
I love you all. I love you all. I love you all.
I love you all.
I love you all.
And gently hug yourself with a great gratitude and thankfulness for this opportunity to so participate. Love you, love you, love you.
So welcome everyone back to this moment, this time. Inviting all of you who'd closed your eyes to open them up back again. And very, very grateful, Ma, for this beautiful journey and realization that we are the holders and keepers of this immense, unconditional ocean of love, and that we have this capacity to love
ourselves and
others. And so I think we'll pause there for a moment and allow everyone to maybe get a drink of water or a cup of coffee, and we'll come back in exactly a minute or two back here to
love you all.
Explore further. So we'll be back, everyone, in a minute. Love you, love you. So join us back here on Insta Live in just about a minute. Grateful, Ma.
Love you. Bye.
And we're back, Ma, for session 2 for today's Sunday Collective on Basic Affection. And now, as we go into this next stage, I feel that the meditation that we did, which is I Love Myself meditation,
I love you all meditation.
I love you all meditation, just so deeply connected me, at least, to a very vast ocean, like I said, of this unconditional, limitless source. And I think it's no coincidence that today is also the anniversary of you sharing the My Golden Cloud energies with all of us, with your students, and empowering us. And so how do we now move from this space of this deep connection? And it was like a very cool embrace, which I can still feel on tingling. Yes, I can feel it tingling on every part of my body. So those of you who have missed that meditation, please go back and definitely do it, connect with it, participate with it. And so as we move into our lives with this empowerment of realizing that we are the holders, keepers, regenerators, and connectors, facilitators of love, what are the acts or the actions that we should do, or that you see when you see people in their behavior or in their thoughts, physically or clairvoyantly? What would you consider true acts of love for the self first and then for others?
Yeah. And I was just thinking that what can I share with all of you that would make it fundamentally very explicit?
Yes.
That it's not only that, when we were a soul in the womb or when we were born, our parents showed us love, and then they showed us some hate, some displeasure, and forced us to be unhappy and cry, and they punished us, and they did all kinds of reforms, what they thought were, good for you. And if only they had held you in their arms and comforted you and said, it's okay, but this is not the right way to do it. Let's explore it together. Let's do it together. I think parents in this time frame of the world are very, very unprepared to share the spiritual nature and the spiritual quotient of the ethos with the soul that they brought into this life. And they're very on a fast track to make them intelligent and setting them up to go and earn and live their lives and want whatever they want, to get it with the money and the credit cards and the Netflix and watch, and have their own dismembered identity of how they should live their lives. And recently I was talking to somebody who said that their son wants to find a job that he likes, not what he's capable of, and not from where he can learn to grow, but it has to be something that he likes, and only then he'll do it. Until then, he can just be a beach bum and watch and stay up nights and play games and watch TV and do everything. So I was thinking about it, that is that the soul that has the wanderlust, or is it the parents giving lot of criticism and lot of lack of love? Or have the parents just been quarreling among themselves and not really given a nurtured, loving environment for the soul to evolve and to find their intelligence and their abilities, and know that they have to work towards generating some kind of comfort and livelihood for themselves? So I think that parents do a great disservice most of the time by giving the wrong impressions about life. There are other parents who will just force and force you to do things that you don't really want to do. So where is that fine line? Where is that interaction that is going to evolve and make the soul want to be ambitious in one level of loving the universe and discovering and creating and listening to music and listening and seeing art and seeing the beauty of the world that they live in, and in that expression of wellness and oneness with the universe, they're able to tap into the resources that the universe is just waiting to gift them the opportunities, and for them to be able to recognize and embrace them and make their lives very magical and self-sufficient and happy and financially very opulent as well. So I'm going to tell a story that I remembered this morning, and I'm going to share it. And then we're going to draw how a human being is stimulated by external environments and their own thoughts and their preparations over lifetimes. So I'm reminded of this story that there was a Vedantic scholar who used to live by himself in a mountain range. He had a hutment, and he used to spend his time communing with God and with his books, and he had lots of books that he used to read, and he used to talk about the karma theory and the Akashic records, and how there are consequences to every action, and how you have to love the universe and you have to love. And every morning he would get up and he would meditate with the rising sun, and even if it was snow-clad mountains, he was okay with the environment, and he was very happy to participate with his life and with his intellect, and he used to chant for the welfare of the world and everything. And then one day he went for a long walk in the hills, and when he was coming back, it was night time. And when he was walking just near his hut, he felt that he stepped on something that was very squishy, and it made a noise as the life was being snuffed out of it.
Oh.
And he kept walking, and there was no way to see what he'd stepped on. And he went into his, hutment, and he had a bath. And then he kept thinking that did he take someone's life, some creature's life? And he was feeling very guilty, and he was thinking about consequences, and if he's taken someone's life, then there is karma connected with it, and how can he seek forgiveness, and what should he do, and what is the penance. And so his thoughts were full of blame and anguish and helplessness. And then he went to sleep, and in his sleep he had a dream that all his ancestors had come to visit. And they were saying that you are not such a good person, that you have taken this life, and now there are going to be consequences, and there's going to be punishment. And then there was another set of souls who were saying, we forgive you, don't worry, we comfort, we love you, and it's okay, whatever has happened, just spread love, just continue to be the person. So there was this very conflicting dream or vision that he had. And then he woke up in the morning, and he was thinking about his dream and about his, his different variations of thought and emotions. And he was wondering what was happening. Why was this one episode creating so much of distinct memories, and it was becoming like a pattern that was showing him who he really was. And then he had a bath, and then just as the sun was rising, he stepped out to offer water to the sun god, and then his glance fell on what he had squished in the night, right? And it was a aubergine, a rotten aubergine, a bengan. And with the purple and the white, and it was squished, and he just looked at it and he said, oh my God. And just his mind, with his memories and his thoughts and all that he had learned from the books and all.
And his self-judgment.
And his self-judgment and his criticism and his doubt and his fear and his helplessness. And maybe a little bit of loneliness and boredom that he had not had other human contact. And then he said that, he thought about this whole episode in his life. And he said that, do I really need to live in this hut and learn all this when I'm not able to change my mind and my thought? So he left his books and his hutment, and he came back down. And he actually started looking for a true guru who could teach him how to love himself and the world, and send out positive thought vibrations, positive emotions, positive and to also go through the element of forgiveness, that even if you have done something that you think is not right, to have the ability and know that the divine is also going to forgive you, and you're going to move ahead and continue with your path of loving all the souls around you. So every morning when he, woke up thereafter, he would thank the mountains, and he would thank, the sun and the air and the water and all his quality books and all the information. And then he used to just say that I love you all, and I love myself, and I'm ready to share. So that is the structure of how the mind is very vast, and we can create and cultivate whatever our thoughts are. They can be negative, they can be self-critical, we can have dreams, we can have visions, we can even invite the ancestors, and we can have those murmurings of other souls who are telling you that you're a good soul, we love you, don't worry, everything's okay. But those voices really get dimmed because we are so contaminated by the information that we cultivate and we seek and we academically negotiate with, and we shortchange ourselves all the time by being negative. So how do we generate positive thought? Is by always being grateful for whatever is coming into your life, grateful for whatever your parents gave you, grateful for what you are giving, with your body, with your mind, with your spirit, and your enthusiasm and your soul self in a combination of great joy. What you bring back to that family, to that table, to that, what kind of cuisine you're cooking, and what are you serving, and what are you sharing with others.
I think that's so powerful. Sorry, Maya.
I'm saying that the automobile, I said, is the body. Remember I said in the first segment that you have to go to a mechanical workshop to see how your body works and how the car works and all. So we also have to look at our body, what are our capabilities and what we can do, and also what we can serve with our thoughts and our mind, and what kind of patterns we are able to initiate, and what's the kind of delicious dishes we serve to other people who will enjoy them with us.
Yes, I was going to go back actually to the story a little bit and
Yes.
talk about how that is it our own internal resonance of what this hermit or this sage or student, how this person that was living in this mountain, in this seclusion and isolation, and so because he didn't have a guiding presence, that whatever he was reading became so internalized that he in a way was wanting to punish himself. I'm not able to resolve
Fear,
that
fear.
aspect. Okay, it's fear.
There's anxiety,
Yeah.
there's boredom, there's loneliness, there's depression, there's helplessness, and finally there's anger.
That all then those are the ingredients of fear.
Yeah, of
Okay.
being isolated and not being able to share your love with others. Those are the pillars of the construct of your life. And then you are angry, so the ancestors are angry with you, and you're angry with yourself for walking on that path. Maybe you're angry with that soul that came and died, or you're conjecturing that you may have killed. And it's a make-believe, huh? It's just an aubergine that was just rotting on the side of the
Pathway.
So
in fact, we have a very sweet sharing and request for healing as well as understanding, very connected to this, that in the case of this gentleman that is in the story, it was just an aubergine. That aubergine is going to go back into Mother Earth. It might feed a few birds. It might feed a few stray animals, even if it's, overripe. Or then it'll go back into Mother Earth and its seeds will spread. So there is still life and regeneration in that aubergine. But just shares that once I ran over a squirrel while driving and she can't get over it still and can't forgive herself. So when we do take inadvertently life in this case, then how do we forgive and heal, and what is the understanding?
The understanding is that why did that squirrel come in that time frame, in that moment, and come in because it was already predestined and written that squirrel had to give up its life on that spot, and you were just a co-traveler who was facilitating his reunion with the divine. So you have to, of course, channel some love and light to that soul and know that there was some association. And you have to move away from guilt. You have to move away from helplessness. You have to move away from anger with yourself. You have to move away from despair, and you have to be grateful that the soul came and that you could, help it to evolve to a better form of life. And you can pray for that soul to arrive in a body in this material universe where they are able to link themselves with true love and supreme love of the divine and go back home to the light. So I think it's, of course, there can be accidents, but there are no accidents in life. Everything is preordained, predesigned, and everyone is following through their path and negotiating for the best outcome.
So from negotiating from the best outcome, we should flow with love for the best outcome.
Yes, and forgiveness. And be grateful that there was that association with the squirrel, and you send that squirrel love from the heart and affirm that it reaches its final destination of bliss and happiness.
Because now is your thoughts are in your control. That action was
Yeah.
not in your
Not
control.
in your control. And equanimity is the base plate of all freedom from judgment.
Equanimity. So even if there is an action where we've been hurtful physically or otherwise to someone,
Yeah.
like Josh's example is an accident, but I'm now taking it a little step further to complicate it a little bit more.
Yeah.
That when we do in a moment are hurtful or are detrimental not only to ourselves but other people, and then we evolve to realize that that is not ethically or dharmically or morally or psychologically, socially correct for us to participate in that way. How do we go back and forgive that version of ourselves who committed, quote unquote, those crimes?
Yeah, we can take an army officer who's at war and is killing the enemy, right?
Yes,
They're
ma'am.
also taking life, but they've dedicated their life to working for the protection of the country. And so if there is war, they're going out there and they're doing whatever they promised their inner self that they're going to do. Now, when this officer is killing the enemies and then is seeing some of his comrades also being killed by the enemy, and then he comes home, there could be guilt that why is he alive and why everybody else died, right?
Yes.
Or why there could be guilt about killing the others. But this is a structured pattern of a commitment that this soul made to be in service, and karmically that person was in service to the land, to the country, to the people, to the government, to the army, and he did a good job and maybe even gets an award and
Paramveer
everything.
Chakra, yeah.
But recently I did have one of these gentlemen, came for a healing, and he was actually guilty of being alive.
Oh, wow.
So then there was a whole lot of, restructuring in his thought patterns, and I, had a long conversation with him. So the final basic instinct was that why did all this happen to me? So I told him that it's happening because you need to structure that you need to do something more, gallant, and you need to do something more with your life that you have not achieved, and this guilt is not a good energy. You have to see that what have you come away with and what. So then he's now taking active part in, working with the new initiates into the army, and he's going to be talking to them and telling his story and how, there is sometimes guilt, sometimes there's deep affection and bonds that you create with your comrades in the war front, and then when you lose, how do you, understand loss of human life. And finally, remember that life is very, very short. Everybody's on their own journey. And what are the imprints that you are going to leave behind? And those imprints are just that the good deeds that you're going to do, the love and affection that you're going to spread, the joy of sharing your story with others, and learning how to love, not just saying that, oh, love will happen and then I'll fall in love and everything will be okay. You have to learn to give of yourself and to give generously for that reciprocation or that appropriate behavior coming from the opposite side. And then people, because remember, you're also a mirror.
Absolutely.
And life outside is also a mirror of your true inner state. You're the mirror to somebody else.
Absolutely.
So just learn to love, because this love is very, very important, and it's a basic instinct.
Yes. So we have Ashish Srivastava, Ravish, who says that I am in surrender to the Guru's splendor and magnificence that has released me from this squirrel guilt in an instant. It could have bound me for a lifetime and beyond. Intensely grateful for your unconditional love. Love you, ma'am. This was something that happened to me 7 years ago, he shares. Wow.
Yeah, release and send the soul lots of love. I'll send too.
Absolutely, ma. And so I think that is such a beautiful lesson that you are imparting to us, that is so impactful, as you know, Ravish is sharing, that it is so impactful for all of us, because there are so many moments that we are carrying guilt,
Yeah, we
and
have
that
to
is a
release it.
corrosive element for our self-love.
Yeah.
Yes,
And you
ma.
know where guilt lives?
Where, ma?
It lives in the self-image of the hara. And so you're not able to create your opulent destiny, you're not able to unfurl your financial destiny, and you're not able to create that self-confidence and that self-love in yourself. And from the hara is very, very closely connected to our throat, throat chakra, of acknowledging who we are, what is our purpose of life, where are we going. And it's also our creative thrust and our ability to acknowledge to ourselves that yes, I have this capability and I can do this. And the first thing is I can love. And what can I love? I can love myself. So stand in front of the mirror and just look into the eyes and say, I truly love myself. And I think that you do that for 21 days, you'll fall in love with yourself completely. You will not find anything wrong with yourself.
Very grateful, ma, for all these healing moments. And in connection to this deeper knowledge that you're sharing with us about how that guilt is living in the reflection of the hara and then trapping us and not allowing us to manifest our complete true potential and destiny. So among us, in connection to the story where he says that, ma, so are his negative thoughts attracting the ancestors in the dreams? And would that be an illusion created by us as well in our own life when we're feeling this guilt? Or what is it? I'm just tying the two together.
No, remember that all the ancestors who are coming in his dream or his vision are those trapped souls who also need release and freedom to have self-love and love of the divine. So they're coming, and then there are the whispering other souls who have come to take them on their journey forward. So in that, because he's a Vedantic scholar and a spiritualist, in his own musings of his mind, he is also clearing the debris of his past karma, and he is also forgiving himself. And remember that he left that place, that sanctuary, that safety of because his false ego was growing, right? I'm very knowledgeable, I'm a Vedantic scholar, I know everything. Because finally, whatever you learn, you have to put it into practice and experience, and then see what are the fruits of your dish. It's the same as if you're a chef and you're serving yourself a dish, you can write the best recipes, you can write and imagine the best cakes coming out, but unless you put them into practice and other people also replicate your triumph, what is a good recipe? That anybody who makes that recipe replicates the triumph of a great dish. And that's how you have to put things in practice. And when you love somebody and they reciprocate the love, it doesn't matter. You can love the next. One day your dish will be perfect.
Wow, so I think that connects so beautifully to Soumya's question, where she says that how do we deal with rejection in a manner that our self-love doesn't get impacted from the negative, and how do we motivate children without impacting their self-love? So I think she's using a very sweet parental code when she's using the word motivate. I'm reading it as basically disciplining the child or giving the child boundaries. And how does it not impact their self-love? So psychologically speaking, what I can contribute to this for Soumya is that children do like structure. They love it. They feel that it's very comforting
and
safe. But no child, human being, you or me, like violence
or humiliation.
So that's
or
rejection. So I think that how do we deal with rejection is that we don't look for validation from the outside, is my understanding, ma. What else can
And the
can
only thing that you have to motivate your children is to keep them out of harm's way, where their physical body is going to be harmed, or they're going to be affected in the mind to be rejected. And always to live in the heart, to live in reciprocation, and sometimes to also become the child with your children to motivate them, because it's very important to hear what they're saying, what are their fears, what are their inner instincts, and what are they really doing. I remember that there was a cousin of mine, and she used to really watch her mother dress up every day, and I think she was maybe only 5 or 6 years old. And one day her mother had gone out and she took out all the lipsticks, all the polish, paint, everything. She painted her face, and she put lipstick everywhere and all. And of course, some of the lipsticks broke. And when the mother came back, she didn't appreciate the artwork. She didn't appreciate her response ability to try to be grown up and to be, mom and to be this makeup artist and everything. And she got a very, very severe scolding, and every day she was reminded of it, humiliated by it. So at one point in her life, she was very depressed, and it was always about how her mother didn't like her enough, that she had done such fabulous artwork and she had done such great dressing up. And why is it, not good? And the psychological impact of that was that when she turned 16, 17, she really dressed like insufficiently, even for social situations. She would wear, unpressed clothes, and
there was a complete disinterest in the
self. And it took a lot of healing and therapy to bring her out. And then today she's a great designer, and she designs clothes dresses people and exports. And so it's interesting how life changes moment to moment. When you get sufficient love, there is that. So how could the mother have
reacted differently?
Reacted differently. She could have just held her in her arms and cleaned her face and put away her broken lipsticks, put them in the dustbin, and really encouraged her child to put pen to paper and paint and crayons, and taught her how to be a great artist. Because I still feel that there is a great artist waiting to be born within her inner creative instincts, which she's never going to discover about herself. So,
so with the guilt at the hara, we are also carrying the humiliation and the rejection and the damage. So I think because Soumya is a healer, she can start there. Healing the hara and for
the throat chakra.
And the throat chakra, and for everyone else who isn't a healer yet,
come to healing.
And till you come to healing, to just recognize and meditate more on the love and not on the guilt or the rejection or the hurt and the pain.
And always rub your hands 21 times like this and put them on your eyes for just 30 seconds whenever you're confronted with a vision that you don't like. And then see what is that vision really showing me, whether it's connected to your children, to your husband, to your workplace. Because I think that people see things that are not real. Because our eyes are thieves. They steal ideas from other places and just imprint them because we are not feeling so good about ourselves and we are not feeling loved.
Wow.
So definitely focus on your eyes.
On our eyes. And thank you, Ma. And then we have Divya Shori from Theascape who joins in.
Hello.
And she says that this conversation today has opened up so many unventured perspectives for me. Thank you, Renooji and Divya. Absolutely wonderful insights. So grateful. And then she goes on to ask a personal question that at age 7, how can I build more trust and connection with my daughter? Her daughter is 7 years old. And because right now she says that it's moving very slowly and it's moving to directives like do this, don't do that. So how
let's do it together.
Oh, wow.
Let's do this together. Let's make a cup of tea for mom. Let's do your homework. Let's take out the clothes from your cupboard to wear. What color would you like today? It's Thursday. Yellow is nice. Mom's going to wear yellow. What are you going to wear? Okay, let's change. You wear yellow. Mom will wear what color you want. So to give them empowerment that they are important in your life and you value their instincts and their dialogues with you, and that they will make an impression in your life. Because if you wear, supposing she's saying, I would like to wear green, so if you wear green, then she knows that there's a reciprocation. And this reciprocation is going to build a huge amount of trust and confidence that what she says is important to you. And so she's also going to then build on doing what you want her to do by just a request and not by a command, and not to motivate her. So I think that a lot of people don't do fun things with their children. So you have to go down to their level. You have to and stop treating them like non-intelligent souls who need to be taught everything. Because sometimes there are great wisdom coming out of their mouths, and you could really benefit from it.
She says, wow, let's do it together. She loves that. Beautiful Renooji, she says. And we have a few more requests, Ma, may I share? And some sharings.
Yes.
So we have Archana Chawla, who says that she's an old student of yours, who's joining back, and she's going through some emotional trauma, and she's really grateful for this session, and she needs guidance for her emotional pain and helplessness. So could you please guide her?
Yeah, and emotional pain and helplessness is an energy that is overflowing out of your kidney chakras. So wear blue colored clothes. They will really heal your kidney chakras. And definitely donate some brown things. So, what are brown things? Potatoes, mud apples like chiku, and Coca-Cola, chocolate, cookies, cakes, something that you will give away to somebody, and with the intention that you're giving them with love, not like, oh, I'm giving my pain away to somebody. And a good day to give this forward is a Saturday, and it will slowly release you from your personal despair. And the good news is that from tomorrow onwards, the planets are getting much better for you.
Oh, wonderful.
So you will feel better, more empowered, and wear lots of blue clothes and drink blue drinks. Now, what would be blue drink? With some color.
Some sharbat maybe?
Yeah,
or some...
and maybe get a blue colored bottle and put water in it and drink that after keeping it in the blue bottle for 24 hours.
That's beautiful. So thank you for joining in, Archana, and asking for your question. And we are all sending you love and healing. And then we have Shivani Bhalla Kohli, who says, ma'am, can you please help me understand more that I can make everyone happy but cannot love everyone? I think, Shivani, you have that in the opposite way. The dictum is that you can love everyone, but you can't make everyone happy.
How can you make me happy? You're not making me happy.
Yeah.
And you can't make all the trees on planet Earth happy. You can water a tree in your neighborhood and make it happy.
Or you can overwater a plant and make it unhappy.
But you can connect to all the trees on planet Earth and say, I love you, and they will receive your love.
Yes.
So don't try to make people happy. Make yourself happy.
And love everyone. Love yourself, and then you love everyone else.
And love is not about expectation that I love this one and what are they doing for me. Oh, people are so thankless. I love them and they don't do anything for me. It doesn't really matter. You can love the walls, you can love the doors, you can love the lift. You can love even the coronavirus, because it's given you so much time to self meditate and look at your life and prioritize what are the most important things. And the most important things are that you are in love with yourself. You have a home or a sanctuary where you can be safe and work from. And you have sufficient food on the table to nurture your body, your soul, mind, and chant, I love myself.
Beautiful. And so we have Marjorie, who's joining in from the Philippines, who says, so grateful for this session, and she humbly requests blessings for her twins, that turn 18 tomorrow. Love you all.
Happy birthday to the twins.
We love you too, Marjorie. And then we have Anahita who says, Dearest Guruma, you have been a beacon of light and the very foundation of love in my life. Your presence has been the biggest teacher of what love truly is. Deeply grateful and love you so much.
Yeah, I'm just going back memory lane 25, 26 years. Anahita. She's so cute. Love you, Vita.
And then she also says that I'm still learning self-love through you, Ma. This connection from our internal state to the world around us is so inherently vital for us to experience and learn from. Deeply, deeply grateful.
I love you, and I'm also deeply, deeply grateful that you're there in my life.
Yes. And so we have a few more sharings and questions, Ma. Do we
Yes,
have
we can
time?
do.
Yes. So we have Manish who shares, Pranam Guruma, Charan Sparsh. I enjoy connecting to the Sunday Collective while traveling in the train, as it's me and all the co-passengers getting healing. Grateful,
So
Guruma.
sweet, love you.
And then we have Aarti Saxena who shares an incident. She shares it in multiple messages, so I'm just going to summarize that she has always seen her parents feeding birds, and so she started feeding birds in the lockdown and the pandemic in the last 2.5 years, or maybe recently, I'm not sure. And all the neighbors and the people, because I'm sure she's doing it in a urban setting, so there are a lot of pigeons. And so the pigeons are definitely carriers of disease like rats, is what I'm saying. She's not saying that, but she's saying that people in her neighborhood are complaining because the pigeons are a detriment and a menace. But she's continuing to feed them, but people are getting more and more aggressive to not feed them. So what should she do?
Yeah, you should take on a Wednesday, whatever you're feeding the pigeons, whatever the amount of grains that you've dedicated for a month, you should take them and feed them where there are, in a marketplace or somewhere where there are other people feeding the birds in an open space. I think it's best to do it away from your home, because remember, when you feed the pigeons in your home, when they are tapping to pick that seed, they are actually creating a hole in your foundation. So if it's in your balcony, the very foundation of your life is getting punctured. And if it is on your terrace, then all the wealth is flowing out. So it's always best to do it on terra firma and away from, that it's going to create any damage to you.
Wow, I'm sure that's very relevant, I think, to a lot of us.
A lot of people,
who do feed birds and animals.
Wednesday is a good day to feed the birds. Okay. So Wednesday, and 2 kilos of bajra, or whatever grains you're, inspired to feed. Rice is not recommended because it creates pain in the stomach. But if you want to give rice, then you have to soak it overnight and then feed it to them. So be if you want the 7 grains, you can do the 7 grains on a Wednesday, once a month. Go out, make the effort, and be kind to your neighbors, send them love.
That's wonderful. And we have a sharing of empowerment from Ravish, who says that based on the squirrel incident and when ma'am had released him in a conversation 7 years back, he stood with truth and vehemently fought with those who were critical and accused the spiritual path of being full of fear. So he's very proud of himself, and that when we love ourselves, basically we can stand against fear. And
boredom, loneliness, depression, anxiety, helplessness. These are my favorite words
today. To heal.
They're all getting healed.
And so Divya, Shori and Soumya say thank you so much. And
love you, girls.
Yes. And so we have Neera auntie who's asking that if your child is 21 and he still or she still does do things, but they're trying and they're not, this is not a clear question as I'm reading it. I'm going to try and summarize. I think what Neera auntie is saying is that if there is a child who's an adult, and the example she gives is a 21-year-old who is unable to move successfully away from certain scars that they may have as a child or a parent might have in relation to the child, So how do they heal it and move forward?
Kidney chakras and giving lot of love and affection and respect. And in all the conversations to be inspirational and assisting instead of being critical and demoralizing and completely annihilating all the confidence that the soul has rebuilt. So be nice to your 21-year-old and find joy in doing things with them, and then you'll discover what they really want to do.
I think that is another very key takeaway for today, to treat, for parents to treat their children as independent entities that have a will of their own and a path of their own, and to be collaborative and not authoritative. And I think that's what Joanne also is resonating with, because she shared something very sweet, that she says that we can help our children channel their talents and interests appropriately without blame.
Yeah, without saying this is no good and it's not going to help you. I want you to go to this lesson and study the math, and and the child wants to play drums, then you should let him also learn how to play the drums, because that would activate his hearing abilities and really put them on the path to doing something, to be able to hear the messages that are coming from the universe, and open up their hearing abilities to such an extent that they can do things. I remember that I'm remembering of a very sweet interaction with the mother and child that built a fortune for them. So the mother used to do a lot of stitching of pillow covers and things, in the house for the family, because there was a big joint family and she had a very nice machine. So her little daughter used to say that, I also want to do, mommy, I also want to do. So finally one day she let go of her responsibilities and she taught her daughter how to stitch a little pillow. And for her doll, and then she taught her how to stitch it, and with the needle and thread. And so this, every time the mother used to be stitching, this daughter would also be stitching something, a bed sheet, a bed cover, tiny little things for her doll. And then when she grew up, she was really inspired by the stitching and stitching and stitching. And she went to St. Stephen's and she did, maths, honors and everything. She was very talented, but those pillows really stuck in her head. And so she started a company making small pillows. And today she has a company that makes a huge fortune. She supplies those pillows to all the watch companies.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
She makes these little pillows. I'm sure all of you buy watches and they're nesting on this little pillow. Think of her. So it started when she was 7 years old.
That's amazing.
So that's how talent is built, and information from the universe is decoded and unfolded, and the soul becomes inspired and does. And the mothers let her do whatever she wanted, not said get a job and be a statistician or study statistics or study this. And so she's just exploring whatever she's exploring.
Wow. So free-form exploration will lead us to our natural talents being absolutely unfolded. And in that unfoldedness, there will be some consistency and some permeation of purpose for the soul. And then that will realize itself into some opulence and fortune.
And if you're hearing and seeing and smelling and tasting the truth, then you are touching the reality of your life and touching the ability to love yourself. And then everything's okay. Whatever you do, you're going to have fun. You're going to be inspired to go to work every day and do things.
Absolutely. Loving the self without judgment, unconditionally.
Yeah.
And so then we have Megha who's joining in, and she asks for some personal guidance. That she says, Ma, Ridan misses Rohan so much that he's unable to sleep alone or sleep peacefully. It's a struggle every day. I do understand his emotion and I'm compassionate towards that, but how do I make this nighttime reassuring and comforting for him, and ultimately leading him to
be independent. So maybe spend one day in the night with him when he's going to bed, and maybe he likes to listen to music, or he give him something that he can depend on, that will not move away from him. So it can be a reading habit, it can be listening to music, not watching Netflix and all, because that will then give him insomnia. And I think when a sibling moves away, there is a void is created that has to be filled with. So maybe exploring a talent of his. It could be painting. It could be, so many different stamp collecting. I don't know. We used to do so many fun things, drawing leaves between the pages of our books and making different presents for people. I think something that will inspire him to take some time away from his own self and how bad it is that his brother has gone away. You should actually resurface his mind by saying that it's a good thing that his brother's gone. And then he'll also be able to go soon. I think that a complete repetition, oh baby, you're feeling so sorry. Yes, your brother's gone away, it's very bad. That is not a fun thing to say to a child, because then you're reaffirming the negative and making deep crevices. Remember the story of the river. The river has to flow, and it also molds the softness in the stones that are in the riverbed.
Absolutely, Ma.
So comfort him and spend time with him, especially in the evening, so that or maybe he can have a sport that makes him so tired that he is able to fall asleep without feeling sad about what he's missing. You have to help him. Maybe he should keep a gratitude journal and be grateful for all the things that he still has. And not about that one thing that's absent in his life. It's not missing. He can still connect to his brother. His brother's still in this life.
Absolutely.
In this world. It's just another city, another school.
Yes, Ma. And then we have Manju Gupta joining in from Chicago, who says, She says, thank you for your wisdom. Please suggest how can one deepen our devotion and meditation?
By practice and practice alone. Nobody can really, I was talking
do it overnight.
Yeah,
it's
I was
not an
talking
overnight
to somebody
process.
only last night, and they were saying that I really can't do this meditation with an app. So I told him that he can listen to music, and I guided him to listen to the Shiv Tandav, and just 10 minutes of listening to it, and it will clean up all your chakras, and the energies will flow of great intelligence and mindfulness. So use the piece of music that you're really connected to, or a mantra, or some kind of instrumental or nature sounds, and just make that 10-minute time every day.
Make it your sadhana, your daily spiritual practice.
Practice, not devotion, because you are devoted to your family. You're devoted to, maybe eating a nice meal. You're devoted to dressing well. So what is devotion really? You already know the meaning of devotion. So are you saying devotion to God or devotion to good meditation? So devotion to good meditation is repetition, abhyas, practice. So we will send you healing.
So true, Ma.
Yeah.
And then we have Riya Bhatnagar joining us, who says, love you, Ma and Didi. We love you too.
Love you so much, all of you out there.
Yes. So she says, this session has been so enlightening. Feel like something has changed instantly. Thank you for the love and guidance always.
Yes, go down into the deep recesses of all the things that your parents said to you, that you felt were wrong. Forgive them and move away. And know that you have eligibility and capability to resurrect your good, loving self right now.
Beautiful. And then we have Kunal joining in, who says, good morning, Nani. Love you so much.
Go to bed. Good night.
And then we have Mona Bhatia, who says, beautiful Sunday collective. Always so much to learn and be grateful for. Thank you so much, Renooji and Divvya.
Love you. So it's time to say goodbye.
it is time to say goodbye. There are many, many more messages of love and questions. So
questions.
I'm just seeing if there are any questions, but they're all love. So we have Simran, Parveen, Nitya,
Love you,
Suparna
love you.
Khurana, Kavita Auntie, Indrajit Sidhu,
Love
Sunny
you, Indrajit.
Uncle, Umang and Shubhrata and many more who are sending their love.
Big hugs. See you later in the day. Some of you. Bye-bye.